Tzu Chi volunteers plan to extend their love and care for refugees in Serbia, helping them through this uncertain time. And Tzu Chi gains popularity in Indonesia thanks to a group of Chinese-Indonesian businessmen's assistance. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Marilee Shoda. Thank you for joining us. Since February of this year, Tzu Chi has been caring for the refugees at the Obrenovic refugee camp in Serbia. Once again, Tzu Chi volunteers from Germany visited the camp, and after assessing the situation, the volunteers concluded it was best to continue their hot meal distributions until the end of the year.
To avoid mosquito bites on this summer day, these refugees who sleep on the ground use blankets to wrap themselves tightly. The Tzu Chi volunteer from Germany stepped up to care for them.
So you always sleeping outside all day? Take a shower or no?
When volunteers check the refugees' conditions, one of them suddenly takes out a knife from his blankets, scaring the volunteers.
Oh, why you have this one?
Crazy.
The volunteer advises the refugee against using the knife when quarreling with others.
You are young, you are very handsome, you have a very good future. You understand?
The Obrenovic refugee camp used to be a military barracks and was open to house refugees at the beginning of the year. The overall environment is a bit dirty, and the refugees have interpersonal problems, so some of them cannot get used to it, leading them to stay outdoors. Tzu Chi will continue to care for these refugees. They have decided to prolong their time of meal distribution from the middle of the year to the end of it by providing breakfast and dinner with reusable utensils. The international charity organization, Oxfam, also works with Tzu Chi to warm these refugees' hearts.
In China, heavy rain on July 1st flooded Hunan province, where 18 villages near Wujiang River in Huitang Township were severely damaged. Tzu Chi volunteers in Changsha mobilized 142 people to conduct home visits and disaster assessments.
This two-story brick house has been assessed as a dangerous building by the government after it was hit by torrential rain and flooding in early July. Another household also lost one wall.
上一次下大雨的时候到的。
下大雨的时候。
对对对
7月份的。7月1号啊。
7月1号。
哦，那幸好还没人啊。
那沙子都是您自己担过来的。
哎，当然。
Although life has become difficult after the disaster, Wang Xiuping has to do odd jobs while taking care of her grandson.
She works there, but she gives all the money she has earned to her husband and to her son for medical treatment. That's why they are very poor.
With the company of Huitang Township's village cadre, Tzu Chi volunteers understood the current assistance the governments provided to the flood victims, including the subsidies for rebuilding brick houses.
By
2018, each household will become a poverty alleviation household. Each village cadet here, including the ones in Ningxiang City, will help one household each.
Tzu Chi volunteers travel more than 70 kilometers from Changsha to the disaster area. They divided into 18 different groups to conduct home visitations. They also use lunchtime to share with everyone Jinsi instant rice and Jinsi aphorisms. After understanding the needs of each household, the volunteers will assess their assistance options.
Mr. Huang, who lives in Holland, Taiwan, fell from his roof and cracked his skull. The accident left him with permanent damage, which impaired his physical capacity. Since he's unable to move about freely, his home has been left in a mess. Tzu Chi volunteers recently sent 20-some people to his house to help him clean up his home.
This house is full of goods that leave no room for walking. Mr. Wang cannot clean his house because he cannot move freely, so Tzu Chi volunteers came to do it for him.
We noticed they have accumulated too many goods and it has become inconvenient to someone with mobility problem. We're grateful to them for allowing us to come and help.
These two trucks are loaded with goods removed from his home. Some are very old appliances, and Mr. Wang is willing to donate them.
These items were given to them from their neighbors, but they have no way of sorting these things, so we mobilized between 20 to 30 volunteers to remove them.
I really appreciate help from these Tzu Chi volunteers because I cannot move.
After great effort, volunteers cleaned up everything for Mr. Wang so he can live in a clean and safe home.
Staying in Holland, Ming-Yi Primary School is the recipient of Tzu Chi's disaster risk reduction project. After the rebuilding was completed, Tzu Chi mobilized more than 70 people to help the faculty move in the bookshelves and the desks into the new classrooms. The school's Parents Association also joined this event to complete the task faster.
As it is nearing the end of summer vacation for schools, Tzu Chi volunteers work with the Parents Association and teachers of Ming-Yi Primary School in Hunan. They undergo Tzu Chi's disaster reduction reconstruction, moving to new classrooms.
We hope to cooperate with Tzu Chi's reconstruction project to provide the children with a comfortable environment. Teachers of the school should also recognize that we should save our school and move our school on our own.
Originally, the school planned to spend 3 days completing the move. However, with many people's help, they successfully completed the relocation in morning.
Another reason why I came to help move is because I want to take a look at the new classrooms. I like them very much. I believe that children will also like them after they see it.
With this good environment, we hope we can nurture some children to become outstanding and beneficial to the country in the future.
After the work, everyone shares snacks with each other to express gratitude and strengthen friendship bonds.
Indonesia is located between two active tectonic plates, which according to the government saw more than 2,000 natural disasters in 2016. While many residents are already used to natural disasters, the bigger problem is keeping their environment clean. The Tzu Chi Foundation has stepped in to improve the environment through recycling and helping villagers rebuild their lives.
Indonesia is the fastest growing emerging economy out of the 10 Asian countries. However, even on the same island, there's a big discrepancy between the rich and the poor. After leaving the capital and getting away from urban areas, many are living a simple life.
We don't even have a toilet here. We have to go there to wash ourselves, our clothes, and relieve ourselves. For drinking water, we rely upon some neighbors who are better off.
Because of this lack of clean water, many of the residents develop skin diseases and problems with their feet.
Dari kesehatan ini, memang mereka terbatas dengan air bersih.
An inability to solve the problem of clean water leads to numerous health problems. Unfortunately, there is little that many can do, as some who suffer from leg problems can't afford to purchase medicine to treat their illness. Some also have no place to live, as the Tzu Chi Foundation has been active in building new houses.
Wait and see. Do you see the blue roofs over there? We built all 38 of them.
Looking at these blue roofs, all of this was done by Tzu Chi from 2006. The plan began initially in Jakarta and spread outward, with construction meant to help residents live and work comfortably. Over the past 11 years, more than 1,000 houses have been rebuilt, with the location of the most recent assistance being more than 50 kilometers away from the capital.
Before his house was built, he lived in a house on the side here. Now let's walk this way.
Even with the new house, many are reluctant to dismantle or leave their old homes. But after 2 or 3 years, they begin to deteriorate.
Before, living in the old house made me itch every day. Now my body doesn't have the same feeling, as our life is very comfortable in this new home, and I feel very happy.
After implementing this poverty alleviation program for more than 10 years, the racial problems in Indonesia are beginning to lessen. number of ethnic Chinese have begun to interact with the everyday life of Indonesians.
Before over there by the fish pond, they would simply relieve themselves in the water. But now we are building a toilet for them, and it will also be a place where they can take a bath.
Before there was no toilet, as we would simply use the pond. But when I saw what they were doing over here, I applied with hope of getting a toilet too.
This group of Taiwan businessmen established the Three Wheels Foundation in 2011, integrating the resources of overseas Chinese. Initially, the group working with Taiwan's representative office in Indonesia to help Taiwanese in trouble. But after a number of natural disasters, Taiwanese businessmen became involved in disaster relief. In 2013, it helped distribute 200 tons of rice provided by Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Originally, we didn't know how to do this distribution. We couldn't do one bag at a time, and we couldn't just do it on the side of the road. We needed to have some guidelines. So we went to study how Tzu Chi does it, and we saw that they have a booklet and distribute coupons, and only give rice to the residents who receive these coupons.
We hope to show everyone the power of Taiwanese people, and we want to avoid what happened in 1998 with the riots. We want to tell everyone that when Taiwanese people come here, we don't want to just take things from you, but we also hope to live together and show our love for this land.
To continue to do business here, Taiwan businessmen know it is imperative to promote public health. For example, piles of garbage on the streets coupled with poor drainage mean that heavy rains can inevitably lead to flooding disasters. In 2002, a heavy rain resulted in serious surge in the Angka River, leading the capital, Jakarta, to become suddenly flooded, displacing many people. The Tzu Chi Foundation and the Indonesian government cooperate to build 2 DaAi villages to accommodate more than 1,000 families, also establishing schools and clinics to provide comprehensive assistance to residents.
When we went to establish the clinic, we wanted to protect their health, but because they lived next to the Angka River, they were susceptible to tuberculosis and other infectious disease that they simply did not know about.
The Tzu Chi Foundation began to help residents treat their health problems, but for a Buddhist group to integrate into one of the world's largest Muslim populations was not easy. However, Tzu Chi chose to start with education.
Di depan, hop, jangan di tengah. Ya, kalau di sini nyampenya lama tuh.
26-year-old Oman is a Tzu Chi school graduate, moving into the DaAi village with his parents at the time. After a few decades have passed, he returns to the campus to become a teacher, as he has a deep sense of his mission.
Saya nggak dapat terusin cinta kasih di sini, kemungkinan besar.
Where I used to live before, the environment and the friends were relatively bad. I am really grateful that I can live in DaAi village. This led me to learn more things in order to achieve something in my life, as well as make a very meaningful change.
Those living along the Angka River are mostly poor families who have now become self-reliant. Compared to the past, many of their children are now benefiting from advanced education, and their living environment has become neat and orderly. This has impressed the Indonesian government, and the successful model has been used to recover from the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. A strong earthquake triggered a tsunami which hit more than a dozen countries in South Asia. Indonesia saw more than 170,000 people killed, more than 60 million people become homeless. Facing the post-disaster reconstruction, the Indonesian government and Tzu Chi promoted large-scale towns to house some 3,700 families. These affected residents quickly appreciate this overseas aid and support.
The first 5 years was the most difficult time, and we wanted to lift these children up and use the DaAi village to pull them out of poverty. If the children could improve, then the parents would also improve as well, following their progress.
In Indonesia, ethnic Chinese have begun to develop deeper roots in the community and overcome the traditional view that their family is the most important, as now they are becoming more involved. This means that their power and spirit can help Indonesians, giving them an opportunity to become reborn and escape from poverty.
Tzu Chi's footprint in Indonesia can be seen in the monthly rice distributions for the poor and the routine free clinics or DaAi villages for those in need. An important factor in the widespread presence of Tzu Chi in the country can be attributed to the group of ethnic Chinese businessmen. Among them is Frankie Wijaya, the CEO of the Sinar Mass Group. Let's take a look at how he's helped promote Tzu Chi despite the difficult anti-Chinese sentiment in the late 90s. In January of 2007, for several days, Jakarta was hit with torrential rain and flooding. Thousands of people were forced to evacuate. Even schools were submerged underwater. Tzu Chi volunteers to mobilize to help clean up affected areas, with one of the country's richest CEO among the group of volunteers.
My child will come with me and do volunteer work. He also invites his friends along too. Actually, Tzu Chi's events have potential for children to learn something.
Frankie Wijaya presides over one of the sub-companies of Sinar Mass Group. The family's fortune was named by Forbes as one of the richest in Indonesia, with a grand total of over $20 billion. They ensure 300,000 employees take home a salary. The most influential part about the group isn't the financial power, but the way the executives put an emphasis on their philanthropy. 1998 was a chaotic year with the effects of the Asian financial crisis and inflation. Life in Indonesia became more difficult for the poor, and hatred for the Chinese grew within the country. That year, Frankie and his father, the founder of the Sinar Mass Group, Ika Wijaya, visited Taiwan to seek some guidance from Master Zhen Yan. She advised they use love to counter the hatred. Sinar Mass Group helped Tzu Chi host its first ever large-scale aid distribution.
As Indonesian Chinese, we should care more for our countrymen, just like the Master has been caring about our situation.
When we went to the distribution, we had in our mind that something bad would happen, as we heard on the radio that a fire had been started there and there were riots. However, we just kept in our minds that we're doing something good. The Bodhisattva will safeguard us.
From that moment forward, no matter if it's disaster relief or building of DaAi villages in Indonesia, the father and son would offer their financial assistance and strength. They also invite their employees to take part in Tzu Chi activities. In a way, it can be mentioned that these two people help propagate Tzu Chi in the country. 2003, Central Java suffered from drought when Tzu Chi received 50,000 tons of rice from the Council of Agriculture to distribute. 30,000 volunteers from the Sinar Mass Group came to help. 2004, when the tsunami destroyed Aceh, 400 Sinar Mass Group employees took to the mall and shopping centers to canvass for donations.
Business volunteers are faster to mobilize, but it won't be sustainable, as employees are only doing this because their boss ordered them to do so. However, once they also gain a sense of happiness from doing volunteer work, they will too take part without the employer asking them to do so.
The group also encourages organic agriculture, which is not only good for the environment, but for those families who have money problems, it is also a way to save on household expenses. In more recent years, bamboo coin banks were introduced as part of the campaign to recruit 1 million Tzu Chi members, which they hope to achieve this year. Since its establishment 31 years ago, Holland Tzu Chi Hospital has treated more than 20,000 overseas medical cases. Among them is Sofian Sukmana from Indonesia. He first sought treatment at the Holland Tzu Chi Hospital for his fibrous dysplasia in 2004 when he was 15. As the hospital celebrates its anniversary this year, Sofian also expresses his best wishes for the hospital.
Speaking Chinese, Sofian Sukmana greets everyone through the video, with his mother, mother-in-law, wife and daughter by his side at his home in Indonesia.
我们一家人有向慈济医院说生日快乐。
The story of this family has to be traced back to Tzu Chi's free clinic in Indonesia in 2004. That year, Sofian was 15 and deficient due to his deformed face. Then he came to Hunan Tzu Chi Hospital with the assistance of volunteers to undergo necessary surgeries.
During the surgery, we need to protect his optic nerve. We have to be very careful and separate the optic nerve that has been compressed by the tumor to reduce the pressure. This will take some time.
For more than 10 years, Sofian has undergone 5 surgeries and become more self-confident.
I cannot imagine how I would live my life if I did not come in contact with Tzu Chi. My life has become more meaningful after I met Tzu Chi volunteers.
Sofian has lived up to everyone's expectations. He has entered good school, found a steady job, and started his own family. With his singing, people around him can now share his joy and happiness.
Taoyuan Jingsu Books and Cafe hosted a Young Volunteers Humanitarian Camp for the first time. This 4-day activity on the theme of love teaches the children more about Tzu Chi. At the end of the camp, the parents noticed a significant change in their children. With the theme of love, the Taoyuan Jingsu Books and Cafe hosts a volunteer humanitarian camp. In total, 84 children and 56 parents sign up for this 4-day course. The first lesson is having the right posture.
We should sit upright when eating, not slouch.
Learning more about vegetarianism, the children try their hands at making their own instant rice. The 4-day activity gives these children the opportunity to do everything by themselves, no matter if it's in floor arrangements or making snacks to eat.
We wanted the lessons to be more lively, so we went with some hands-on work. They're happier making things for their learning. As most of the children have participated in sign language performances, it was incorporated in this year's curriculum. I said, "What are you doing?" He immediately corrected me and said I had to ask more politely. Even the children who had trouble paying attention also found ways to focus. On the day of the closing tea ceremony, it also happens to be Lin Zhihan's grandmother's birthday.
Grandmother, may your worries fade away. I will behave and be a good kid.
I'm happy they're growing up in this Tzu Chi environment.
Knowing to behave well to ease the worries of their elderly is the best present this grandmother can receive on this birthday. Mother's Day in Myanmar falls annually on August 12th. And to show some love to the one who born and raised us, the Chiang Mai Tzu Chi School held an event to thank mothers. Through a foot bath and tea ceremony, students and their mothers bonded like never before. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.